With the recent downtrend in the market, it did allow us to get a nice little discount on some of these altcoins, at least for a little bit. I mean, so far, we are starting to see the market bounce back a bit. I'm recording this a little bit, ahead of time, but I still think that the market continues to bounce. We might range for a little bit while longer, but I'm totally fine with that. It does give us more time to accumulate more. But overall, when we think about Hedera, when we think about HBAR, currently speaking, when we look at the all-time chart, I do think that we're brewing for a much larger move on this chart. I think that we will continue to, accelerate to the upside as the market really does bounce back. We have yet to actually hit that big altcoin season time frame for crypto. We still have a few indicators to watch while we kind of wait patiently for altcoins to really take over. But the main thing that we're watching right now is these projects and the moves that are being made behind them. One big move that Hedera did make earlier this year was the focus on DeFi. They started to shift completely to retail forward use cases, which we'll address that here in a moment. But I actually want to talk a little bit more about the price chart because, again, I am recording this a little bit earlier in the day, like I said, but I still think that we can potentially be bottomed out here on HBAR, and we could start to see another big reversal on this chart back to this almost 30-cent region where we could retest that higher time frame resistance one more. When we look at this, and I just really want to focus more so on the 4-hour, right? We've already retested that 30-cent range, multiple times. We've tapped it multiple times. We've retested it multiple times as well. And every single time that we retest that level, it becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. And I want you guys to understand that once we do really break over this 30-cent zone, it's going to be very, very short-lived of us breaking over that and heading to 40 plus cents, because this is a 40% move on the chart. Once we break over that major resistance level, watch out, because I do believe that the next target isn't so much 40 cents. It's 57 cents, which is a 100% move from just that level alone, from our current price, 136%, because I do think that we will target all-time highs on this next wave for HBAR. So currently, utilize this time. If we do continue to see lower price action on HBAR, utilize this time properly and don't let it slip by you as a major buying opportunity. But outside of the price chart, let's go back to what I was saying, right? If we go all the way back to December 20th, we saw the big update from Hedera Foundation. This was more so moving into the new year. And this is actually from Charles Atkins, the CEO of Hedera Foundation. Effective January 1st, 2025, we will be rebranding to Hedera Foundation. But on top of that, they were committed to the community more than ever before. DeFi was the focus. An acceleration of AI, tokenization, and digital identity was also, focused on as well. Now, today, I think that they are fully committed to this. I still think that this is their goal. Why? Well, because the DeFi market on Hedera has grown significantly. We now have 18 protocols tied to Hedera. If we go back a year ago, there was significantly less protocols tied to Hedera than we are seeing here. I think that there was maybe, 5 or 8, I think, fully. I still remember when we had just Stater on this list. Then it was Saucer Swap. After that, we start to see more and more, protocols launching on Hedera. And that's because the DeFi side of Hedera just continues to grow more and more as time goes on. But the main thing that I'm watching here, while the market is down a bit, is the TVL, because TVL so far has been growing on Hedera, and this is because, of course, the value of HBAR is also growing, but this is in USD, $146 million right now, 121 million, it's down a bit. I do think that this is going to rally to its high back in January of $200+ million, but the thing that I'm looking at the most here is what happens when retail finds Hedera in terms of the DeFi market. What do I mean by that? Well, if we are thinking about the chains tied to DeFi, the number one here is Ethereum. I ask all of you out there, how many of you have transacted on Ethereum? How many of you tapped into DeFi on Ethereum? How was the experience? Did it feel revolutionary? Did it feel very good to transact on Ethereum? Because I have utilized Ethereum for probably close to at least 300 plus transactions. And every single time that I have transacted on Ethereum, swapped, sold, whatever the case may be, it has been a nightmare. I say this because currently speaking, in terms of DeFi TVL, there is $78 billion tied to Ethereum. That is the amount of money that some of these great DLT networks like Hedera could soon target. Because I do think that demand will soon be usurped from Ethereum into other networks the second that we start to see retail messing with some of these other networks. Currently speaking, like I said, Hedera is down here at number 39. If we get back to 200 plus million, then it will be moving up the list to about like the high 20 region, right? But I'm mainly looking at some of these other areas on this chart. For an example, I'm looking at like Polygon at number 11, $1+ billion. That's very achievable for Hedera. I would assume that we get to that $1+ billion level very fast, especially as more and more of these projects continue to build and expand. One of them is actually SaucerSwap, right? If we go back down the list, let's go back to Hedera. So let's go to Hedera. SaucerSwap is number 2 on this list, and technically speaking, it should be number 1 because a lot of people actually don't account for liquid staking. But when it comes to SaucerSwap, they have a massive amount of money tied to them in terms of TVL. It's about 65, almost $66 million. If we think about what they've been doing for the Hedera ecosystem, they've been killing the game. Even back on the previous highs, it was over $160+ million tied to just SaucerSwap alone. This is the built-in DEX on Hedera. This is that disruptive DEX that launched back in 2022. And this is when we really started to see DeFi on Hedera wake up in a big way. We just got a big update from SaucerSwap Labs, which is there are a lot of strong teams building on Hedera right now. They included themselves Bonzo, Headstarter, Galaxy, Dovu, Hashpack, Kabila, and others. It's vital that we recognize we're not growing individually. This ecosystem is growing together. There's a shared vision behind it. Open, efficient systems, decentralized access to finance, identity, data, and ownership. We're all working towards the same future, and our success depends on one another. It's easy to overlook how far this network has come, but when you zoom out, it's clear. Progress is compounding. We're honored to be a part of it. And yes, this is very clear. And a lot of these players are continuing to expand. Bonzo Finance recently just announced on the 30th that Bonzo Vaults is coming in Q3 of this year. This automates liquidity management and yield generation via protocols in the Hedera DeFi ecosystem, from concentrated liquidity to leveraged liquid staking loops. And if we go back, Bonzo Finance, they've been growing significantly. They have $48 million tied to them. Guys, they launched back in October of 2024, and they quickly expanded from $50,000 to $50 million. These projects on Hedera are not messing around. They are here to take over. And it's also additional integrations that happen with Hedera. For example, recently, Hedera Foundation announced Welcome Safe to Hedera. The industry standard multi-sig is now live on the Hedera EVM via Palmera DAO. This provides core infrastructure for new and highly sophisticated DeFi players to enter the ecosystem. This is going to enable so many big players to jump onto Hedera in the DeFi space. And don't forget that Thrive is also enabling so many big DeFi projects to move over to Hedera as well. In this breakdown from Palmera, we do see safe wallets are now live on Hedera EVM integrated by Palmera. Hedera's EVM brings full Ethereum compatibility to Hedera's high-performance network, combining the familiarity of Solidity and EVM tooling with Hedera's institutional-grade features. With Safe now enabled on Hedera, the ecosystem gains secure multi-sig wallets with multi-signer approvals, batch transactions for operational efficiency, and access to safe apps. I'm very happy about this because, number one, Safe is pretty large, 145,000 followers. And also Palmera is also, it's not like a massive player, but the ecosystem and what they're enabling for Hedera is very significant. and they've been a big piece of the Ethereum side of the market for quite some time. So now that they're working with Hedera as well, I'm very happy about this. And I really do think that this is going to be a game changer for the DeFi side of Hedera. Now, on top of that, the craziest part about the DeFi market for Hedera is the recognition from the White House. No, you did not hear that wrong. The White House literally quoted Hedera's DeFi architecture in its recent handbook. Here we have a strong signal from the Trump administration on digital assets, clear rules for the CFTC and SEC support for stablecoins and DeFi, and meaningful tax updates, all in a coordinated roadmap. Hedera welcomes U.S. movement towards thoughtful innovation-first regulation. In this document, and big shout out to Coinman the H-Barbarian for this, eagle-eyed H-Barbarians will notice that the section in this White House paper titled Architecture of DeFi, Decentralized Finance Technology Stack, is derived from the Hedera page. Guys, look at this. Architecture of DeFi. Understanding the DeFi technology stack is integral to understanding the DeFi ecosystem. You would think that this was from Ethereum, right? Because Ethereum is the dominant player here, $70+ billion. Look on the bottom there. Let's just zoom in real quick, just so that you guys can see this. DeFi stack. Getting a grip on the DeFi ecosystem. Hedera. It's literally from Hedera's website and from the DeFi stack side of the Hedera website. Guys, Hedera is extremely overlooked. The DeFi side of Hedera is extremely overlooked. I don't think people realize what's happening behind the scenes with some of these networks. Looking at the DeFi market for Hedera today, you might say $120 million, that's really nothing. You look at the protocols, some of them, don't really have much in terms of TVL. There's only about 18 compared to, let's go back to the chains real quick. Because again, Ethereum has 1,500 plus protocols, Solana 300 plus, BSC 900 plus. I mean, even Bitcoin has 78 plus. And you might go back to Hedera and you might say, 18, that's not much. Guess what? This number and this $120 million will continue to scale. What the Hedera Foundation has done so far in 2025 for the DeFi side of the Hedera market, I do think that this is going to continue to accelerate more and more and more. They are fully committed to this. The builders on Hedera are fully committed to growing the DeFi market. They want Hedera to be the most successful network out there. And DeFi on these types of networks, once people realize how efficient, these types of networks actually are compared to Ethereum, it changes everything. I'm not trying to make this an argument of, hey, guess what? Ethereum sucks and Hedera's awesome. No, it's more so people will rotate and gravitate towards the most efficient technology stack for these DeFi use cases. Institutional players, enterprise players will enable DeFi use cases on networks like this for thousands, millions of users. This is why I keep saying, focus on the most efficient networks. The White House is, because they're literally quoting the Hedera DeFi stack. This is crazy to me. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely like, subscribe, turn notifications on because I'm more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.